Alright, so we're introducing the Pro Demand Digital Repair Order. We're going to pick our year, make, and model of vehicle. I'm using my Ram 1500 crew cab, 4-wheel drive, automatic, and then it fills in this info. Could have also put it in by VIN. Now, Pro Demand is cool because you can look up the technical service bulletins. Give you an example here. You can also look up DTC codes and get an idea of what a particular code might mean, like if you pull it up on a scan tool. This is all under DTC index. Then it'll give you a wiring diagram and the testing procedures. So it makes it very easy to go from a code to a diagram and a test. So this is all a very easy way to use Pro Demand to get this info. Now, from here, I'm going to hit the X and go back to the home screen. And I'm going to, in the search box, I'm going to type in brakes. Actually, I'm going to have to go to brake pads because I want to get more what the front brake job would look like. So brake pad, click on it. It gives me all these options. Things like OEM testing, component operation, where it'll explain to me the way the system is supposed to work. The OEM testing, which actually gives me diagnostic procedures. In this case, it's giving it to me for the ABS. Now, this is under the parts and labor guide, and if you notice, it opens up an estimate category. And all I have to do is find the procedure I want and hit the add button that you see on the right hand side. So as I'm going down, I've added brakes and shoes, R&R the fronts, R&R the backs, for burnishing burnishing rotors. So you can see I'm actually building the work order. Now, right now, what I'm building is the labor. There's already a labor rate in the system. So now I went to viewing my quote. And when I viewed my quote, all those operations are here. Now, adding an item, I could choose to add a labor item. Like, for instance, I'm doing diag. And all I got to do is put in how many hours. I'm putting in 1 for diag. It already gives the shop rate. I could choose to add a parts category or even a note. Adding a note might be where the tech finds what they need. Now, by going back, I can go back to what I looked up, and the labor and parts guide, click on parts in the left-hand menu, and now I can choose different parts. Now it's going to give me the manufacturer part number and the manufacturer suggested retail price. So I can use this to start building out my work orders parts now, in addition to the labor I've already put in. And if you notice, shop supplies and hazmat are here. And I'm already putting in a note now that the customer is declining a service. So this allows me to make the notes on the work order so that the customer would have them. Now you can use this in this class, because if you go to print, it'll bring up this screen. And because I'm using an Apple product that's slightly different, I would do that and make it into a PDF by saving it. But I could email it to myself, or on most computers I can hit print and create a print to PDF, which would actually give me a view like this that I could then save. Now you'll notice it does have all the school's information that we keep on our work order. So now we're moving into the multi-point inspection. And you can see on the multi-point inspection that this multi-point inspection, you have to put the name. This says year and model, but I would still put make, year, make, and model. Date is still critical because we're going to make sure that the date of our multi-point inspection lines up with the date of the work order. And you're going to make sure that most vehicles will have a service tag hanging from the rear view. Again, the odometer, just like the date, it's a way of making sure that this and the work order match, and it's a way of knowing what service info should go with it. The repair info, or repair order number rather, and then we would do the VIN and the license plate. Now you see, first thing I check is a service history check because I'm going to pull that info. This is a Dodge vehicle. There's no way it can have OnStar. I know the engine oil is probably a little bit past its life, and I can pull it up on the scan tool. It's got 30% left. So I'm going to start going down. I'm going to check the battery. I'm going to put it on a tester, like a Midtronics tester, and just get an idea of how is it. I'm also going to do a visual, just like I'm going to do on the wiper blades. I'm also going to do it on the rear view, if I have a rear wiper blade rather. I'm going to check for cracks. I'm going to check for chips. So we're going to look down at a couple of things. Obviously, one of the next sections we're going to look at is we're going to check tires as well as the body condition. So you should have a tread depth gauge on you, and you go around and you actually physically check in 30 seconds the tread depth of each one of the tires. This is important. Not only does it let the customer know when they have to start getting tires, but it's going to help you know what the condition of those tires are as we go along. Had a little bit of trouble with my pen here, but I'm working on moving that out of the way. And so you can see I'm going to add a kind of a fictional thing to it to show as if I had done the measurements on the tires. So you see I'm putting in momentary measurements, like it's 8/32, and you want to let the customer know that you've done an actual measurement on what tire. Sometimes you might be doing all four. Honestly, with a tread depth gauge, I would say to do all four. It's easy enough. If you notice, you have to mark wear on the body, you note damage. So what fender, door, window. What's your lowest tread depth that you measure, because the lowest tread depth is the best you can go. And is there an odd wear damage? You notice I didn't fill it out, but there's also a number for what you set every tire pressure to. You want to go down and look at the fluids. Do they look like they're in good condition? Are they at the appropriate level? Are you going to check your brakes, front and rear linings, the pads or the shoes, and you'll measure them. A lot of times they give you what they call a go, no-go gauge, where it's green, yellow, red, and you see they kind of line up to these. I honestly would not trust them, and they're not okay for a state inspection. So just kind of keep that in mind as you go along. Now we're going to go a little bit further down the sheet. If you look at goes additional checks, as well as a full brake system check, which I didn't check off on here, but in the additional checks, I went down, and while I'd be draining the oil or rolling the tires under, I'm also going to just do a quick visual and look at all these things. The hoses got a yellow, not because there's anything overtly wrong with them, but they're old. The CV drive axle boot is ripped on the one side. And then in additional recommended services, I would put that in. Restraint system. Are the seat belts good? Are the chassis loop points good? Like tie rod ends, ball joints, if they're serviceable. So now if you notice I wrote CV axle boot ripped. Heated seat failed. Now again, we talked about this in the other day's lesson. This could equate to the customer having to pay a lot more money than what they thought. But a good writer will prioritize what on here is a safety feature for the customer. And they'll set up the next appointment to get them in. And if you notice, the technician and the technician's number are going to get filled out on that line. That way the right tech can get the job again. This can be a great tool.